Salve and welcome to Parsing John. Today we are in chapter 1, verse 47. Let's go ahead and get started. This is the rubric, everything that we're looking for as we go through this text. And here is all the Latin that we're going to do today. Vidit Jesus Nathanael venientem ad se et dicit de eo ecce vere Israelita en quo dolus non est. And that's as far as we're going to get today. Very first thing that we find here is our verb, which is always nice. We've got it as our personal ending. That's going to be a third person singular. This comes from video, videre, vidi, so this is clearly the perfect tense. It is active and indicative. Jesus ends in us, so that tells us that he is a nominative singular, and therefore our subject. Jesus saw, and then we'd want a direct object, and we have Nathanael, and if you recall, Nathanael does not decline, so we can't tell exactly what function he fulfills, but since we already have our subject and our verb is singular, Nathanael has to be the direct object, especially as we look ahead to venientem, which ends in em, nt as the addition to the verb veneo, venere, so we know that this is a participle and it is accusative, singular, masculine or feminine. Masculine because Nathanael is masculine. And it is present, active, participle, making Nathanael the direct object. Ad se is what we have next. Ad is a preposition, and it takes accusative in its object. This comes from sui sibi se, so this could either be accusative or ablative, but since this one's accusative, clearly se has to be accusative. And we can't really tell without context whether se is singular or plural, and we definitely don't know what gender it is, since it's the same form for all the genders. However, this is the reflexive pronoun, which means it points us back towards the subject of the sentence, and we look at our subject, and it's Jesus, who is masculine and singular. We're just going to mark it as accusative. Et could be connecting a second object to the preposition, but as we look at dicit, it's not, so et is clearly connecting two clauses together, and a prepositional phrase ends here. We could say himself, or to be more specific, especially since this is a reflexive pronoun, we might want to say instead to his own self, which would sound a little bit weird in English, as it's probably more like older English than what we have now. Et just means and as a conjunction. Dicit here has it as our ending. We've seen this before multiple times. This is the perfect form of dico, dicere, so this is our present, but essentially the same form. Third, singular, present, active, indicative. Says, de eo, de is a preposition. De takes the ablative in its object. And eo comes from is id. Eus, eus, a, eam, id, eo is what we have here. This is going to be referring to Nathanael. Since it's not a reflexive form, we know it's talking about someone other than the subject. Ecce is clearly not part of this prepositional phrase, because that, if you recall, is a exclamation. Ablative, singular, masculine. This means about, concerning, or down from. It's not going to be down from. Him being Nathanael. And then we enter direct discourse here, so we want to add quote marks there. Ecce, as we talked about before, as a demonstrative, it's roughly equivalent to ide in Greek, which means look at or behold, which is also what this one means. In one of the previous videos, I believe I went into a lot more depth of what this word is, so I would refer you back to that one. I'm sorry, I don't remember which one it is specifically. Yep, behold is only spelled with one E. Remember that, only one E. Vere comes from veres, vera, verump, and this is the adverb form. Truly. Israelita, and we actually really want to find our verb. In quo, nope, but that's a prepositional phrase. Dolus doesn't match, so it ends right there. Non and est. There is our verb sum, as fui. This is third person, singular, present tense, sum est, active, and indicative. Is. Non tells us that it's a negative. Not is. Take a look. Dolus is us, so that's going to be nominative, singular, masculine. This is either our subject or our predicate, since we have a linking verb here. We don't have any noun after this, so predicate is most likely the case. In takes the ablative in its object here, as we can tell from quo, which is from qui, quae, quod. Put up here. I fail at spelling sometimes, sorry. Meaning who, which, or what. This is going to be masculine or neuter. Since this is masculine, probably going to be that. In whom. So then, since we have a prepositional phrase here, then this is probably not going to be a predicate. However, we have however we say this word, Israelita, and that has a short a, which means that this is nominative, singular, and the word itself looks to be feminine. Even though it's talking about a masculine person, a male human being, we can still have feminine nouns to refer, and adjectives to refer to them, though adjectives would only be feminine if the noun that they were modifying, pointing to that male human being, were themselves feminine. Spelled very nearly the same. And dolus means deceit. At least I think that's how it's spelled. There we go. That is all of our verse so far. Let's take a look at it in its own context. Jesus saw Nathanael coming to himself, or his own self, and says about him, "Look, truly Israelite, in whom is not deceit." There we go. Now let's take a look at it in its larger context. From verse 43. Till tomorrow he wished, or he wanted, to go out into Galilee. And he found, or he finds, Philip, and says to him, Jesus says to him, "Follow me." Philip, however, was from Bethsaida, the city of Andrew and Peter. Philip finds, or found, Nathanael, and says to him, "What Moses wrote in law and prophets wrote, we find, or we found, Jesus, son of Joseph, from Nazareth." And Nathanael said to him, "Is anything able from Nazareth to be good?" Or the other way that we translate it, I think the original way that we translated it, "Is it possible for anything from Nazareth to be good?" That's as an indirect statement here, but normally potest doesn't take an indirect statement, it takes infinitive. So the first way is more likely. Philip says to him, "Come and see." Jesus saw Nathanael coming to his own self, and says about him, being Nathanael, "Look, Israelite truly, or truly Israelite, in whom is not deceit." And that's as far as we're going to go today. Thank you very much for joining me. And actually, come to think of it, that's the translation things here. That's how we originally translated the Greek, not the Latin. The Latin is clearly the first way that I said it. Anyway, thank you very much for joining me. I hope you have a very good day, and I hope that you continue along with these videos while I